first guest today is Traci Callender, Executive Director, Higher Achievement Baltimore. Higher Achievement delivers high-quality out-of-school programming to middle school-age students that improves student achievements and sends students to top high schools in preparation for college. Please welcome Traci Callender to the show. Traci, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
I tell you what, your energy, you got that youthful energy. I know you're like amazing with these young people.
Yeah.
So tell us about Higher Achievement.
Higher Achievement is an out-of-school time program and summer program that enriches the lives of scholars in many different ways in 4 different cities. Here in Baltimore, we work with over 250 students at 3 different schools and really work with them not just on their academics, but social emotional learning. And it's all rooted in relationships with staff, relationships with their families, and most importantly, relationships with mentors.
So these are middle schoolers?
Yeah, well, 5th through 8th grade.
5th through 8th, okay.
So right.
And then how are they selected?
So we are in 3 different schools, and so we work with their CSC coordinators, their community school coordinators, their teachers, and we get a list of young people that are committed to increasing their grades and wanting to go to college. They go through a rigorous interview process. We interview the scholars, their families, their teachers to make sure they're a good fit. It's a 4-year program, wow. And so it's a big dedication and commitment on their end. So
okay, so this is like the young people who really, they're into school, they want to achieve.
Yeah, higher achievement.
And they got the right mindset.
Yeah.
And so you balance, you balance out the academic and also the social?
Of course. I think that if you were to ask a middle schooler to stay after school for 650 hours a year, you got to have something other than algebra for them to do. And so we try to make learning fun, and we do that through experiential activities. They go on field trips, again, mentoring, which I'm sure we'll get into. And they also spend a lot of time doing enrichment activities like yoga, robotics, dance, anything that they could possibly be interested in. We really want to open opportunities up for them and expose them to different interests.
So, we're kind of in this information age, and they have access because of the internet. They can see all these different things. Do you find the kids to be more inquisitive? Are they overrun? What's that age group? What are they talking about these days?
Everything. Anything and everything. I think that you hit the nail on the head. Social media and just access to information is there, and so it kind of changes the way we have conversations. If there's a video that goes viral in 4th period, they know about it by the time we are in our community meetings. And so we have structured our programming to have that space to have those important conversations, and not just one-on-one, but with the entire community. And so we, every night for 20 minutes, sit down in a circle with 60 students, staff members, and mentors, and we'll talk about a hot button issue. That hot button issue could be anywhere from a school shooting that happened, or there was a fight in the lunchroom, or somebody just dropped the hottest new video and we're dissecting it. It just depends on the day and what the tempo of the program is.
And who are the mentors?
Everybody. That's a great thing about mentoring. And so we have anywhere from college students to attorneys, dentists, retirees, pastors, just about anyone. I think the biggest thing for us is to have caring, dedicated adults that really are interested in moving the lives of young people forward. So we have a very, very diverse group of people that are coming to meet the needs of our scholars.
I have a 13-year-old, so I'm always amazed by how much, like you said, they're aware of the news story. They're aware. They almost force you to talk about things that you may not even be comfortable with because they're pretty much comfortable because they see it on their timeline.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you seeing a lot? Do a lot of kids want to go into the IT and the the STEM thing, or what area are you seeing that their interest is peaked?
I think when they first come in 5th and 6th grade, it's interesting because they only see what's in their sphere, right? And so it could be, I want to be Beyonce, or I want to be a football player, because that's what they're looking at their phones all the time. And maybe it's what their mom or dad is doing. But by the time they leave us, we have a mentor over at our Cherry Hill site, Mr. Howard, who is an engineer. And every single person that walks into his life, all of his scholars, by the time they leave, they want to go to Poly and be an engineer. And so I think that it's about exposure and how do we create opportunities for them to learn, not just about what happens in a bank, but what happens upstairs in a bank. And so it really runs the gamut. But I will say when they first start, they're very much so in the typical, like, I want to be a football player kind of mindset. But that isn't how they end up.
I want to ask you about that. When you have the intellectual child, a lot of times I hear people talking about, kind of like a lot of kids play video games and they're not physically as active. What are you saying with that?
I mean, It's hard to say because they always run me ragged, right? So I think that there's a balance at our program. I mean, I think there's a difference between higher achievement and the real world. And in higher achievement, we create a culture where there's room for that. They're also learning how to code and they're learning how to use apps. And so they're doing it in a way where they're not spending hours on end on, I don't even know what the latest video game is, but let's say like Halo or whatever it is that's popular right now. They're really spending time like creating apps and thinking about how to make technology more useful for them in the next upcoming generation. I think overall in general, we do see a lot of kids that are not necessarily paying attention to their physical health because they're inside. They are not necessarily being as active as we would like them to be, but we still have good old-fashioned recess at our sites. And so they have an opportunity to do things like code, and they also have opportunities to play hopscotch and double dutch, which they need as well to be well-rounded young people.
Gotta have the old school games in there.
Yeah.
You know, so also, what about, you know, politically, it's almost different because it's almost like politics are almost like pop culture now. Do you see kids engaging more with that?
Yeah, for sure. We have a social justice principles that we run our program on. And so we talk a lot about freedom and justice and solidarity and voice. And so we actually see a lot of young people that are taking an interest in that. A lot of young people, particularly with the last election, that voiced their opinions and really had some tough questions that as caring adults we had to help them come to their own conclusions on and like give them the information and let them make informed choices about how their personal value system would dictate the way they like would lean politically. The important thing for us is that these young people are going to be the next generation of voters. And so we don't want to wait until they're 18 for them to get educated on some of these issues. And we also aren't trying to raise a particular political party as much as it is having the right information to make informed choices and decisions. And I mean, we say the next election is a few years from now, the election 2024, they're going to be like the front runners. So.
The front runners. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. You got a fundraiser coming up. We'll talk about that next. Coming up on Game Changers. And we're talking with Traci Callender, Executive Director, Higher Achievement Baltimore. Traci, you have a fundraiser coming up. Tell us about it.
We do. So every year we, as I said earlier, we work a lot on academics with young people. We focus on math and English language arts. And so every year, right when they come back from MLK, we do a unit on poetry and self-expression. And so our mentors work with each of our scholars in creating an original piece. And so it sometimes, most of the time it's rooted in love, but love can take different forms, as you can imagine when you're 10 through 14. And so they come up with poems about how much they love cheese. They come up with poems about how much they love their city, how much they love their family, how much they love the color of their skin. And so every year we have, just one night only, all of our best poets come on stage. And if you can imagine a 12-year-old and a group of 100 people in an audience who is bold enough to speak from their heart and really to engage and captivate an audience about their experience and the way they view and live love. So that is this year on March the 15th. It's our 9th annual event. It will be at the University of Baltimore's Law Center. Doors open at 5:30. The show will start at 6, and our website has all the details and information.
We'll get the website at the end.
For sure.
But Traci, so, you know, these kids they do so much, they're exposed to so much. It's a different world. They have the information. How do we keep them still kids?
That's a good question. I think that you can't hide everything from them, but I think it's about having conversations, age-appropriate conversations as things are coming along. It's one of the things that I know we talked a lot about mentorship and a lot about our staff, but it's also about families. And so how do we equip our parents with the skills? It's different when you're parenting a 10-year-old. I know you said you have a 13-year-old. 3 years ago, your 13-year-old was probably a whole different person. And so we really want to equip families with the skills necessary. Like, how do you parent an adolescent mind and keep them, like you said, age appropriate? We understand that we only have them a certain amount of hours of the day, and the parents, that's like the crux of their work. And so we are really big on family engagement to make sure that we all have the skill sets to have those informed conversations, but not giving them too much information that's above their heads at that point.
And so what about the parent who has a child who's coming up to that age group? Can they inquire? Can they call anybody? Can they get their kid on that track?
Yeah, we do a lot of work within our schools where we're working with the 3rd and 4th grade families to give them information as they go along. A ton of our young people, we call scholars, have siblings. And so we are already like developing that pipeline to come through our program as rising 5th graders summer before 5th grade. So we are working a lot with the entire school body to educate parents about not just higher achievement, but the high school placement landscape, college, and such.
I love the language you're using as far as scholars. And I saw a study, I guess, I don't know if it's accurate or not. They were talking about the power of getting to the child before 4th grade. And are those real statistics that show?
Yeah, we call middle school the last best chance to get on track for college. And studies show, and I can geek out for just 1 second on data, studies show that after infancy, the middle school brain, like the 12-year-old brain, is the second most crucial development point. So that's when you're learning impulse control, self-control, critical thinking skills. And it's also a great time to start talking to young people about what they actually want and what the options are while they still have an opportunity to turn around their academics and really have moldable kind of like brains at that point. And so not to say it's too late in high school, but we know to get them on track, they need a lot of support in middle school.
So Traci, give us all the information. Give us the website, give us how people can contact you, how they can contact before, higher treatment, all that information.
Yeah, so first come to the event. That's one thing.
And one more time, the date?
The date is March the 15th of obviously 2018, and it is at University of Baltimore. And our website is higherachievement.org. You want to /Baltimore. We're in 4 different cities, so you want to make sure you get Baltimore. You can find us on Twitter at Higher Achieve, on Facebook at Higher Achievement Baltimore. You can call the office at 410-752. I'm always going to forget. I'm sorry. 410-572-7753 is our office number, and someone is always there to answer questions on behalf of our scholars in our community.
Traci Callender, Higher Achievement Baltimore, thank you so much. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
You can check out the website. It's right there. We're going to take a quick break. More Game Changers coming up.